So, why is a discussion of gun control in America today so difficult? Perhaps because it seems to be a truly lost cause or just plain dumb to most people. The logic is that as long as even one person has deadly weapons, municipal police must be armed to protect all the rest. Additionally, gun ownership is a matter of U.S. constitutional law. Looking for answers as a journalist, novelist, futurist, parent, husband, and imperfect U.S. citizen, I cooked up the idea of what I'm calling a free will 10-year memorial no-gun sanctuary city plan. Whenever I talk about it, almost everyone tells me it will never work. But here is some of what I was thinking. Check it out and maybe ask yourself, could it even be done? And how? So, short version. A memorial no-gun sanctuary city would need only be a free will, voluntary social experiment and in no way recommends a universal ban on guns, as some may fear. Like any local municipal proposal or policy, City Council, County Board of Supervisors, or various state or regional authorities and agencies can move ahead with such proposals with complete impunity, given a grassroots effort, public review and discussion, public Democratic majority vote, and so on. It's not rocket science. Like, for instance, a city such as Fresno, California, may today decide by resolution to declare itself a sanctuary for birds or indigenous trees. That type of local political choice is what I mean, often done as a symbolic gesture. The idea is to move through local channels as a grassroots effort toward a common goal. I would anticipate at least 10 years to put any such new policies in place, and I would anticipate moving ahead in only one city, probably a smaller town. If the city of Eureka, California, for example, was known worldwide as a memorial no-gun sanctuary city, would it be good for business there or not? Would tourists visit only as a novelty, perhaps? And would the general public benefit from a living memorial, even as an entire city, to help all of America remember so many, many random, unnecessary deaths? The whole thing might be best thought of at this stage as a positive thinking sort of tourist attraction, as dumb as that may sound. If you have any interest either way, it wouldn't surprise me. It's just a concept for one city. In fact, my plan here would almost certainly not be how such a proposal would move forward. I've also interviewed members of U.S. Congress and at least one U.S. Vice President. So I know from experience a real no-gun memorial plan could only be developed over time by local groups in complete transparency and compliance with federal law. But given as much, here are some of the specifics I came up with over the last year or so working on this idea. The long-term goal would be to create a public policy such that within the city limits of such and such a town, for both police and private persons, deadly weapons gun use would be banned. No guns on the street on either side. Visualize the general idea with me, if you will. No guns allowed in such and such a town as a sanctuary or memorial, if only in memory of the many who have died in such cruel injustice that they may not have died in vain. The policy would set forth as an experiment and in only one city, voluntarily as a free will choice of the local population for the good of all concerned by majority vote. One might see it as a voluntary, expanded, long-term buyback program. Most towns and cities have mutual aid agreements between various law enforcement agencies, like sheriff, highway patrol, local police, or military, fire department, army reserve, and so on. In general, the idea here is that if guns are needed for serious police work, nearby agencies like these would be ready and available with all guns and weapons needed under the same policies we have today One criticism I've heard is that as soon as you establish your no-gun sanctuary, the bad guys will rush in, shoot everything up, or rob all the banks without resistance. Police officers would inevitably encounter criminals and find themselves defenseless. Mutual aid police could provide assistance fully armed in only minutes. But maybe police forces could have their weapons locked away at the police stations and not on the streets and not carried by police officers. Or maybe police weapons are locked in their vehicles. It is a difficulty as far as such a new policy might take shape, and details would need to be hammered out in committee. Police officers might be armed only with non-lethal weapons, such as batons, tasers, pepper spray, handcuffs, and so on. A new routine mutual aid nearby law enforcement methodology might be reinvented only for this social experiment. The point is to take those first steps toward the same long-term goal, only for this project. Much may be learned in the attempt as well, if nothing else. So what about private guns? In the same way, if a no-gun sanctuary city was created, private persons might, for example, agree to participate in a 10-year voluntary expanded gun buyback program. Private persons who own guns might keep and store guns outside city limits. The city might operate a free gun storage facility a mile beyond city limits where private persons could keep all the guns they wish. Personal property and expensive hunting rifles or decorative guns or handguns would never be confiscated by local government. The local city involved could provide citizens with their own tasers, pepper spray, and so on to keep and use for personal safety. There are many ideas, but it can work only as the local population makes this type of choice voluntarily as a group by majority rule vote. There's really no way to reasonably eliminate all firearms from any community or to confirm success anyway. No strict enforcement, no involuntary participation, no harsh penalties. Residents in such a living memorial city might even be very proud and pleased that they had the creative courage together to even attempt the idea, if only for their children and grandchildren. Other benefits could arrive for such a no-gun memorial. A nonviolence museum could attract tourists. College and university experts, legal experts, medical experts, politicians, clergy and church, and artists and entertainment could be invited to participate in all kinds of ways, which would be an economic boon. New business may arrive in such a town, such as to manufacture non-lethal tasers, bulletproof vests, or to publish educational materials and hard data research on non-violent police methods around the world. Counselors or medical experts or triage emergency room doctors might set up shop as well. Peace festivals could bring in millions of guests with music and celebrations over time. 10 years later, as policies for your no-gun memorial city become functional, such a city or town could be an international destination. You could also build permanent memorials in public parks to remember those lost to gun violence in America. As a memorial, the solemn truth would maybe never be forgotten concerning just how evil and awful gun violence in America can be and has been for much too long now. Bottom line, a no-gun memorial sanctuary city might easily be famous and a real money draw, improving the local economy. There are, of course, many other aspects, but ask yourself, if your local police agency must use guns, who pays for the bullets? Who pays for the hospital bills? Who pays the legal bills? Who buys the guns they must use? And just how high are all those costs taken together? Your tax dollars pay for those things. So why not give back control at the local level and approach the problem of gun violence similar to other nations, even as a merely symbolic gesture in only one city or town? I know many disagree or misunderstand me. Thanks for listening. Feel free to contact me or use these concepts and develop them on your own. It is truly time for change, and it's only going to happen when the good people of America step up to the plate, as we always have. I'm Julian Phillips. Peace ahimsa. Thank you.